Hey, Anne. Welcome to Diary on One podcast. I am your host, Akakandelwa Kandepwe, also known as Aka. On today's episode, we have a young Zambian storyteller, youth advocate, and sustainable development champion who has worked with some of the most renowned organizations, including the Food and Agriculture Organization, UNICEF, and the European Union. He co-designed the SDG Design Challenge. That sounds so fancy. Bringing together over 380 innovators and from 60 countries, And he has dedicated his career to making sure the voices of young people are heard where it matters the most. Please welcome Mukelabai. Hi, Mukelabai.
Hi, Aka. No, that's really an interesting introduction.
I keep reading it and I'm like, I have questions.
Yeah, bring them on.
How are you doing, firstly?
I'm good. The Lord is keeping us. The Lord is sustaining us. Overall,
Amen.
I'm all right.
Amen. My first question is, how did you bring 380 innovators from over 60 countries together? Was this virtually or physically?
Interesting. That's a really interesting question. The thing happened virtually. So really, and the power of technology and like using AI to connect young people, young minds together in a space, we had really amazing and exciting partners that made sure that that journey became possible. And really the enthusiasm and energy from our young people is what made that AI SDG Design Challenge a milestone.
So tell me about the challenge. What was it all about and what was the objective?
Yeah, great question. So with the challenge, basically, with the sustainable development goals, I think we're remaining like with the last 4 years to achieve them. It's like, how do we empower young people to advocate, co-create solutions, and empower them to lead change and action in their community? And one thing, there was also a 50,000 USD prize pool to that. So we empowered 10 innovators with 5,000 USD for them to implement their social project in their community. So we're telling young people, go into your community, identify a problem, and come back with solutions. And how do we use AI for good? How do we use artificial intelligence to innovate, to scale the work and impacts that you're creating? Because for us, the main story is leaving no one behind. So we wanted to bring everyone on board. So it was a really exciting journey because we received over 600 applications from like youth from over 60 countries, and being able to lead that as a young leader, that's something that was really interesting. And to our partners that came on board, they really made the journey worthwhile. So for us is because people hear about sustainable development, but how do we get to co-create solutions with the young people? Because for us, our conversation was we are leaving no one behind. Young people are part of the solution. So the main challenge is not potential. The main challenge is opportunity, accessibility, and being connected to the right ecosystem.
I like that. The main challenge is not potential. It's connections, accessibility, and being in the right ecosystem. Do you think we have enough of these conversations? Are we in the right ecosystems, and do young people have the awareness to ask themselves, are they in the right ecosystem, or the fundamental problem might just be that they're not even aware that they should have connections, accessibility, and create an ecosystem or find themselves in an ecosystem?
And I think on young people do not need to be taught that they are the future. They need opportunities that will help them shape the present. Because for me, what I believe is talent is everywhere and opportunity is not. So my work is about closing those gaps. And I feel like we don't really have this conversation more and more. The challenge is not the frameworks. The challenge is not the policies. But the challenge that we have is the right ecosystem that enables, empowers, and trusts young people for them to thrive. Because for me, I believe the biggest problems of our generation are not just going to be solved by one organizations. It'll be
Yeah.
by individuals like us who are sitting together today to share perspectives, to share ideas that will shape our future. Because one thing I always say is innovation starts when someone just decides to stop complaining and start building. So, are we giving the right opportunities to the youth? Are they accessing financing? Are they accessing the right tools that are needed for them to thrive? Even when we did with that AI SDG Design Challenge, we understood that capital is a challenge for young people, access to knowledge. But when we give the young people the right tools and information, we really see them doing great and mighty things that create impact in the community.
This is very interesting because I just realized that on my end and at the work that we do is we come
Yes.
from the premise of there's so much opportunities, and we actually also have data that with all that opportunities it's not yet fully utilized. So we have so many opportunities where young people in Zambia and Africa could actually tap in, but it's not utilized. And on your perspective, you're coming from a place of connect opportunities are not available, and if opportunities are available, are these the right opportunities to help young people thrive? You mentioned talk about funding, right? True.
Yes.
Young people have amazing ideas, but we don't have the money to actually implement those ideas fast, and we're living in a very fast paced world right now. If you had an idea today, you don't implement it tomorrow, it's forgotten in a week.
Yeah.
So you kind of have to move with the times. It's really just interesting. How did you get into this work?
No, yeah, I love this question because for me, I've always been fascinated by one question. And that question is, what does it take to move from having a good idea and creating real impact? Because that question has taken me into entrepreneurship, sustainability, youth leadership, and building partnerships across different sectors. Because for me, I believe my mission isn't just to solve today's problem, it's to help build systems that enable more young people to solve this problem. So I really started with a reflection, because you know that feeling you always feel like you are destined for more. How do I channel my energy to create impact? The stories of young Zambians being left behind, of young African, that's a story that has always taught me that you have to be ruthless with succeeding and you have to show up. We don't have the being from a third world country. We don't have the privilege and opportunity to complain. We need to find solutions. We need to start having ideas. So from a young age, I always have this sense and urgency that I'm meant for more. And potential is there, but potential needs to be nurtured. Because as young people, we always have this saying, oh, we are the youngest generation. But being young, that statement is no longer enough. So we need to really step up. So being intentional is and deliberate is something that has really anchored me. And I always had this thing that I want to create change. I want to create impact. Because for me, I believe that everyone is a leader because in some way we influence someone. So I've come to believe also that the biggest challenge, as we have said, isn't lack of talent. It's really lack of spaces that help young people thrive. And that's what really has shaped my work and the conversations that I choose to be part of. So being young is not a statement that I can say that, oh, I'm young, I can't do this. You are young and you can do it. And the Bible says being young is the time to invest in yourself, in the knowledge and nurture your skills and capabilities, and read the words of God more. So for me, I think one statement that drives me is wanting to create change and impact in my community.
Listening to you speak, you're reminding me of the conversation I had with
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Genesis.
Yeah.
That really did feel like a quote from him. He's always like, I was like, okay, fine. You're really in Genesis circle, and I really love the work that he does and how ruthless. I don't think he's. I'm not sure. I know you're ruthless, but I haven't gotten that energy from him. But then it's so interesting how it's such a small circle. It's such a small circle of amazing young people that are doing amazing work. And also, for context, Mukelabai is 21. And I
21
feel
and note
so.
with an MBA, pursuing an MBA.
But I listen to you sound very passionate. I don't even think I sound this passionate.
Yeah, yeah. Because
Which is
really,
which is fine. I'm like, I really need to start sounding passionate. Um, but anyway, you are 21 and very ambitious and very passionate about what the things you believe in. And I love that you talk about how when you're from a third world country, you really have to work extra hard. You really
you have to.
have to push those files. And also you get then to realize that, for example, I have a degree from a third world country. I am not as competitive on the international market. Like I really, and no shame, I was so disappointed when I wanted to study abroad for my master's. In what
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, but I just wanted to leave the country. And I then realized that, hey, this
Yes.
is how you rank my degree. Like this is, hey, I look so good on those graduation pictures for a degree that is ranked so low. So you're very passionate, you're very ambitious.
No, thank you so
Um,
much. I really love on ambition because growing up, I've realized that many talented young people were not lacking ambition, they were lacking access. So that really shaped me, that really shaped how I see leadership today. Whether I'm working in an ecosystem with young people or with development partners, my goal has been to be able to bridge bridges. You have talked about ambition, because for me, I believe, because the Lord told us you have dominion. So when you step into the real world, you need to own the space. You need to have audacity. You need to be ruthless with wanting to succeed. As you said, coming from a third world country, it doesn't give you the privilege to give up. If you want something, you need to be a go getter that's intentional, the go getter that's deliberate. And a life hack that I've known is there's no luck. Luck is preparation that meets readiness. So that really has shown me that if I want something, I just put my energy into it, I can get it. So even this conversation, you say it, you have to shoot your shot.
for me also, I am more, you're, me, I'm more aggressive. Like I like to spark conversations. And I think when you met me the first time, I was just like,
Mhm.
okay, so I'll ask you people questions because I really want to, I always want to, I'm so curious. I have such a curious mind, and I always want to know, why are you thinking that way? Why is that your answer? Like, give me context so I can understand you. And then I realized people don't do the same with me, and I'm like, that's at par value. You could really just interrogate me, like fight with me.
Mhm.
I think why also young people are, why that they might not ambitious is they don't want to fight. Like there's no that fighting spirit, right? Okay, there's access, there's
Yeah.
limited access, but you kind of have to be aggressive to say, hey, me, I want that. Okay, you're not going to open that door. I will break the window. I will break the window to get. I will know your boss. Like, I don't have to have that. And it was so much fun to kind of meet people younger than me, because I'm still a young person, but people younger than me,
Yeah.
and maybe maybe like a sounding voice, like, okay, I get it, but give me and shoot your shot. I say this to my assistant, and I'm always like, don't ever take somebody's word at par value. You can always negotiate, you can always say no, you can say yes, you can say maybe, but no one should come to you out of youth with the work that you're doing and you are not negotiating. Someone shouldn't just come to you and they say no, and you're like, they said no, then what do you want me to do? Me, I told you to get done. Like, get it done one way. So that
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
proactiveness is
yeah.
what we are lacking. What a lot of young people are lacking now is just, yes, they said no, then what? Go get it done
Then
another
what?
way.
It's not that the
In
no is
the
going to be marked on your
window.
forehead that they said no. Because I feel like,
So
really,
I like your focus.
I
Like,
love where you're heading because I feel like we live in a culture that tells you to be humble, to have this humility that, I don't know how I can put it, but we're always told you can't speak up for yourself. You can't be too confident. You can't be too ambitious, that you have to tone down a little bit. We have this culture of fear, or adding in little nyanja. Oh, when I do this, bazano nelamo, nikapempa, bazano nelamo atibwanji. But if you want something in life, you really have to be intentional. You have to be aggressive.
I like where we're heading also, and it's very interesting hearing this from a male, right? And I
Yeah.
always like to bring in the thing about gender, because I think that we don't talk about it. We don't talk about it enough, and people will come in and say, we all want equality, and I'm like, but men and women are not standing on the same foot, so that equality thing won't happen. But equity, yes, because the women will amp up their game. But focusing on young people and a male and a women, yeah, a male, sorry, between the age of 18 to 35, what you have to realize is, if you as a male, you're thinking the way you're thinking, that doors won't open if you're not aggressive, they've told you to be humble and everything, I would like you to just take a minute on how women think of it. Because on our end, from the get-go, from the time you can talk, really somebody's future wife, you are taught life fit society as a woman who is saving somebody, not as a whole person that will thrive in a career. So if you as a young male at 21 feel like that, I wonder how a young female at 21 sees the world. Because initially, to tell you the truth, we are ingrained in thinking you're just here to save a man. Like, whatever you're doing, don't be too ambitious. It'll chase away the men. Don't like too much money. Don't talk too much. I can think of different times in my life when I was a child, raised by my feminist grandparents, when all that was said to my face, and I went back to my grandfather. I like to tell the story. I went back to my grandfather and they said I should start cooking because I'll get married one day. But I don't want to cook, and that got me out of cooking for so many years. My grandfather said, but she doesn't want. What do you want her to do? Leave her alone. She's just a child.
I
So,
love that. I love that.
So I was like, and I hope my kids can do that. Right? Like, if you don't want to do it, don't do it. Do it because it's a life skill. So when you're thinking on the two spectrums,
I think something that I tell the young women and girls I come across is, be assertive, be a bad girl. If you're not a bad girl, you get corner office. So one thing is, an inclusive, we really need to be inclusive in how we look at this conversation. I think gender equality isn't about one group winning over another. It's about ensuring that everyone has equal opportunity and contributes to their talent. For me, is when we remove the barriers for women and girls, and the entire communities can really benefit. And I just want to add like a leadership angle into this. Because for me, I believe the strongest teams are built on diverse perspectives. Better decisions come from having different voices around the table. So leadership for me should be based on competence, character, and the ability for someone to create impact. Because young women just don't need encouragement. They need access to the right tools, the mentorship, and the leadership opportunities. And they need young men rallying behind them and telling them that you can do it. Society tells you, be a wife, be this, be that, but there's more to what you can do. Because achieving gender equality is not just a women's issue alone. We as men, as boys, we also have an important role to play as allies and partners. For me, I see that progress is going to happen when we start working together, rather than seeing gender as a competition. An inclusive society, as I always say it, doesn't lower standards. It removes unnecessary barriers so that talent can thrive, not that gender should determine the opportunity. So as a young girl, be assertive, be a bad girl, or you get corner office. So because we live in a society where you're taught, do this, don't do that. But if you want it all, do it.
A good girl never got a corner office. What
Yeah.
generation is that? Was that the Zimbabwe one or the Kenyan one? Love that one.
The Kenyan one.
A good girl will never get a corner office. A good girl, be nice to anybody. You want a corner office. I live by that. And I think my encouragement to young women, I mean, if they don't like you when you speak out your thoughts, then they're not the right people in your circle. Because I've been in spaces where I speak out and then it becomes a whole debate and we're going back and forth. And I love it and I thrive at it. And I know also the implication that comes with it when you are in a relationship, right?
Yeah.
It's not that deep. Been there, done that, and listen to me. Just go for the money.
Yeah, just go for the money. And just I think a word of encouragement to I just go for the money.
Just go for the money. I genuinely, and that's my word of encouragement. Whatever you do, because money will never disappoint you, money will never leave you, money will never forsake you. Like apart from God, right? Yeah. That's all.
Yeah.
And that requires a lot of money.
That requires a lot of money. And on that perspective, I think my encouragement to every young woman is listening. It's like your dreams are valid. Don't wait for permission to pursue them. Invest in your education, build your skills, and have the courage to take opportunities, even when they don't feel completely ready. Because your voice matters. Don't let fear, self-doubt convince you that your ideas are too small. Some of the greatest change is when one person decides to speak and take up action. The world doesn't need you to become someone else to succeed. It needs your unique perspective, the talent and leadership that you can bring to the table. So be a bad girl.
Get the corner office, like me, or create your corner office. Get the corner office or create your corner office. What does leadership mean to you?
What does leadership mean to me? For me, leadership is not about being the loudest voice in the room. Leadership is about carrying others, being intentional, and leaving no one behind. Because with leadership, everyone is a leader, as I said earlier, because you can influence someone in a good way or in a bad way. But leadership, we need to learn how to carry people behind, It's not just about being the person at the top. For me, real leadership isn't measured by how many people follow you. It is measured by how many leaders leave your table better than they arrived. As I said, leadership is not about being the loudest voice in the room. It's about creating a room where everyone's voices can be heard. It's about saying that the cake is too big for us to thrive. There's more room for us to work together. There's more room for us to work together. Collaboration is really important. So for me, leadership, we all have power, we all have influence, but we need to create real impact by touching a life and empowering someone. So in my journey, for me, yes, titles give you authority, but character gives you influence. So we need to be leaders who are ethical, intentional, and transformative.
What was it like to work for UNICEF Zambia Youth Media Hub and telling stories of children in Livingstone?
Oh, that was really interesting. And working with UNICEF, really, as a friend of UNICEF, it's such a great environment and a space to be in as a young professional. Because your voice is heard. They create an ecosystem, an environment that allows you to thrive. And being part of the child helpline services, it was really interesting to be able to support such a meaningful and continental gathering. Because what we're advocating for is giving young people access to the mentorship tools, access to services. So we're raising awareness on issues such as gender-based violence, access to opportunity for young people. So young people have something incredible. We have the child helpline services. So where a child, if you're seeing your friend going through abuse, if you're having suicide thoughts, you have a number that you can call and you receive guidance and help. So for me, it was also about championing the conversation on mental health, because it's a key critical conversation of our time. We are seeing a lot of young people killing themselves, suicide happening around. So it was really interesting to drive this conversation and really an opportunity for, that's why I say, like, we need leaders and systems that are intentional, that always want young people to be at the table. So working with UNICEF, it was really interesting. I love UNICEF. The work culture, you get to learn a lot on excellence, because most of the time as a youth, we always want a seat to the table. But when you're given that opportunity, can you deliver? So for me, it has really taught me to be excellent, to know how to manage time, always showing up on time. If you're given a task, you really have to complete that task, and you have to show up boldly. There's nothing like imposter syndrome. Coming from a third world country, as Dr. Genesis said, you are there at the table because you deserve to be there. You don't have to doubt yourself. So we did really great work to make sure that these services that are helping young people, that are helping children to be heard, that are giving children a platform, are really diversified, and government gets to support this platform. So it was a really great journey and something that has really strengthened my advocacy career. I really love working with UNICEF.
You've been emphasizing a lot about access, systems, the table. What are some of the systems you think we should create so that more young people can have access to certain rooms and certain tables?
I think one thing also to that question, I think as young people, we need to be excellent in whatever you do. Because as I always say this, talent is universal, but access is not. So for us, as we need systems that will help us close that gap. So it's everyone's responsibility, because it's not enough to tell a young person to dream big, but we must ensure that they have the access to these tools, the networks and the resources to help them dream bigger. Because for me, I believe access should not depend on where you were born from, your gender or your background. Potential exists everywhere. So for me, that what I always say is, we need leaders to be deliberate in creating these spaces and systems that allow young people to thrive. Access to information, access to the proper tools, so that, because when youth have access to the information, they'll know where to go to, they'll know which office to approach. But we need leaders in those offices who can advocate for young people. If I'm not in the room, a leader needs to say, there are youth who need this opportunity. Let's fight for them. Let's create room for them to thrive. So for me, we need leaders who are more intentional and deliberate in wanting to see young people win.
That's so interesting. Do you think the current system is supporting young people to have access and giving them opportunities to be in the room?
That's really an interesting question, because opportunity should not be a privilege for a few. It should be a pathway available to everyone who's willing to learn and contribute and grow. Our main challenge is the systems. We still look at young people as beneficiaries. We don't look at young people as equal partners in shaping development. That's why you find, even as young people get to be in the space, this is a youth ward, a youth advisor, a youth whatsoever. Bring young people to the decision-making table. Because if an older person can do it, there are young people who are skilled. There are young people who are qualified. So we need to stop looking at young people as only beneficiaries, but we need to look at young people as partners in shaping the growth that's needed. Because if I look you at as a partner, I'll give you the table, I'll give you the same seat. But if I look at you as a beneficiary, even the conversation is going to be different. So we need to really be intentional and deliberate in how we see young people. We need to drive away from the misconception.
That's very interesting. Like, I am here because a lot of people have taken a chance on me, and they have put me in rooms that at the time I wasn't qualified to be in. And there's something that you said that's important, and I don't think we have enough conversations about it, is young people want to be in rooms, right? You want a seat at the table. Yeah, you want to sit at the table, right? But you don't have the capacity to sustain it. And I think this is something I heard in church, where our bishop said that what got you in the room is not what's going to keep you in the room. And we're not having those conversations of the skill sets that got me in the room are not the same skill sets that are going to sustain me in that room. What skill sets do I need to sustain me in the room? Sometimes you get to realize that when you're already in the room, then you start building the skill sets while you are in that room. But sometimes, like right now, if you're listening to this podcast, it's having that honest conversation to say, yes, I am a great communicator, I am good at volunteering. Then you get an opportunity to be in a very good room that's representing all of us. And again, I think we're quoting Dr. Genesis a lot. One of the times I heard Dr. Genesis speak, he said, when you're a young person and you get in a room and they give a chance to a young person, you get in that room and you disappoint the people in that room, they will not say,
Yes.
Aka disappointed me. Aka disappointed us.
It's young people.
This is the young people, right? So it's one thing to want to aspire, to want to be in a room, but do you have the capability and skill sets and knowledge to sustain your seat in that room or the seat on that table? And also I notion when it comes to tables, right? I'm not a big believer that I need to sit on the table, because I don't even know if I want to be in that building. It's a very important question a young person should ask themselves. Where is that table exactly? Because not all that glitters is gold. A lot of us here are bent by certain individuals, certain organizations, because we wanted to sit at the table, but we didn't know the cost of being in the building where the table is in.
Yeah.
I don't know if that makes sense, but I hope
No,
it
it
helps.
really
I hope it helps somebody out
really
there.
makes sense. Because
Right?
for me, yeah.
No, go on.
Because for me, really, I really love is like, do you want to be at the table? Because for me, I think the conversation should not only be about telling young people to be at the table or telling young people to work hard. We also need to ask ourselves are we creating the ecosystems where hard work can actually translate into opportunity? So being at the table is being at a place where decisions are being made, where your voice can be heard for you to contribute to meaningful action, where you are supported, where people advocate for you. Because we as young people, we have the ideas, the energy and the creativity. But why often is like the need to access these skills, the mentorship, or what's needed is always distant from us. Policies are powerful, yes, because they shape the right environment. So as our leaders are shaping this environment, how are we bringing young people to also contribute to the conversation? So as you said, yes, being at the table is one thing, but also contributing to the discussion is another. As you said that what got you into the room is not what's going to sustain you. So as again, touching on what you said is, as a young person, when you go into a room and you fail to represent, because you're not just representing yourself, you're representing a whole generation of young people. So you need to have audacity and you need to own the space. You need to own space when you're in a room, because you're not just talking to yourself. You're talking for other young people who do not have an opportunity to be in that room.
I think one thing, and I love what you've said, and I loved how you're summing it up. For me, with my little experience now at all different tables, is asking yourself in the initial stages when you're making a decision of what type of service you'd want to offer, which is working for government, working for a private company, working as a freelance, working as a consultant, working for non-profit organization, and trying to build your career or business, is asking yourself if you really want that table. And do you want that table in the building it's in? Right? Because I think so much conversations about the table.
Which table?
In which building? Because do you know the cost at which that table comes at? Right? Are you ready to wear that cost? Are you ready to wear that crown? Like there's a cost to the crown, right? Like it looks fancy, it looks nice. There's a cost. So as a young person, like you have to be very objective. Even if you're not as political. And I think sometimes we'll be like, oh no, maybe the cost is only high if it's in a political manner, if it's this and that and that and that. Trust me, everything is very political. It's just not country politics. But then the question now is not the table. I think my question now to young people is not the seat at the table, right? We get it. We all want to sit at the table. But do you want the seat at the table in the building it's in, with the cost it comes, hidden or known?
Great question. Great question. And just
Like
adding on your thought, and one thing is a seat at the table. I think they need to understand clearly that a seat at the table is not just about occupying a chair. It's about having the confidence, capacity, and opportunity to influence what happens around that table you want to be in.
True. And also then it's also recognizing that it might be too early for you to be at a certain table. Maybe you shouldn't be at that table. Because then if you get bent at that table, it might bring your confidence really down. Then you have to build on it. Certain tables, sit them out. I really am speaking from experience. Certain tables, sit them out and look at them at the rearview mirror. Because again, not all that glitters is gold. And let other people fight those battles. And if you really want to be at that table, have honest conversations with people that are there. But again, I don't think people are honest about these tables and these buildings, is all I can say. But then try to test the waters and check if it's really yours. I think that one of our biggest challenges, or what we're going to face in the next 5 years, is our generation, because we're Gen Zs, is me, if you cross me, I'm leaving. And me, I'm that person. As mature as I might sound, as fancy as I sound, if you don't treat me right, I'm leaving. It's either you fire me or you don't fire me. But one way or another, I'm disappearing and not saying a word. So my fear is a lot of young people will face that, and that might just happen that we were not mature enough to be at that table at that particular time in that specific role, because we didn't do the right research, and maybe that table wasn't right for us. But because we've gone through this experience, we now think all the tables are the same, and then we lose brilliant young people because of that.
I really love what you have touched on. And another thing is, we must move away from inviting young people into conversations to really building conversations with them. And I think, just to take us back to, like, leadership is not about waiting for a title. It's about taking responsibility. Someone said that people want freedom, but people don't want accountability. The leaders that we need today are not just people who can speak well. It's people who can listen, collaborate, and turn ideas into really action. And leadership begins with self-leadership, knowing the value that you bring, knowing your purpose, building discipline, and being intentional about the person you're really becoming. Because sometimes being at the table is uncomfortable. And growth requires a willingness to be uncomfortable.
True. So do you have the maturity to know the difference then? Like, do young people have the maturity to know the difference, or is that where their awareness lacks? Right? Sometimes it's not that you're unqualified. Certain tables just need you to learn on the go, to learn on the job. Like, most of these things, you really just learn as you go. You can only learn from experience. We can give you a whole speech, but you go to a certain table and you only learn by experience. So then, do you have the maturity? Do young people have the maturity to know the difference when they're at the table?
Do young people have the maturity to know the difference? And one thing is, a lot of youth not like this. We need to really build
resilience.
We need to really build emotional intelligence. Because a lot of young people, we are too emotional. You are too emotional. Being at the table needs you to be aggressive. Because really, the biggest challenges of our generations are too complex for one person or one organization or one sector. We really need to learn how to collaborate. If Aka walked in a certain journey and I want to walk in that path, I need to be humble and just say, oh, Aka, guide me. I want to walk into that path. That's why sometimes having mentors is really important, because people that help guide and see you. Because young people will look at ourselves as competition, not looking ourselves as collaborators. Why can't we come together to build the future that we want? Because one reality we don't really talk about is the future of leadership is not about having more young leaders at the table. It's about building young leaders who are more ethical, young leaders who can collaborate, and young people who are committed to creating impact beyond themselves. So really, maturity is something that's really important, because you are not just going to be given an opportunity because you are young. As you said, being at that table requires sacrifice. Being at that table in that room requires you to really understand. And as a Christian, that's why it's always important to pray for the Lord to order your steps.
Yeah. Very important takes here. Very important takes here. I just want to declare that I'm an emotional person. Like, it's not nothing new. Nothing new. I would say one of the most important things a young person or any person on earth should ever do is take a personality test. Take a personality test.
Very true, very
true. Know the type of a person that you are. Like, I don't get offended if someone says they're too emotional. That's what makes me dangerous and calculating. I know myself. I know the phases I go when it comes to how my brain processes stuff. And sometimes emotions just means you feel deeply and you process stuff differently. So when you are aware of yourself, you know what your default settings are. You know what you're most likely to do in a situation. When you are aware of something, it means you can do something about it and you can change. Right?
Yeah, so, I really love on awareness. I really love your statement. Because one thing we always don't look at is like, growth is really gradual. And a lot of young people, we don't want to start small. As I said, that growth sometimes requires the willingness of you to be uncomfortable. Your first opportunity may not look like a dream opportunity, but every experience becomes a building block for where you want to be. For what you have said, there are certain opportunities where you learn on the job. There are certain tables where you just have to go with the willingness to learn and be able to adapt. You don't need to have all the answers figured out. Because I feel like young people have this mindset of just focusing on only chasing opportunities. But we need to always focus on becoming the kind of people who are ready when those opportunities present themselves. Yeah, and as I was touching on is we should not be afraid to really start small. Many impactful movements like really began with one person wanting to start something. And as we are touching on emotional intelligence doesn't mean you really experience. Aka said that you are really emotional. Aka is really emotional. And someone tells you that you're emotional. Other people will feel bad, but emotional intelligence doesn't mean you're not going to experience difficult emotions. It means you have the ability to really respond thoughtfully instead of just reacting impulsively.
I like that. What was you on young people? What are the 2 skills young people are lacking in this fast-paced world we're in?
I really love that. I think I'll answer it in 2 ways. One of the skills that young people are lacking is emotional intelligence. And Aka, this is a really interesting question because now it's making me think. Because for me, I feel like one skill that we're really lacking is emotional intelligence and always doing the right research. Because for me, I understand that growth requires a mindset of humility. You must be able to receive feedback, learn from it, and become better. You can have the best ideas and the strongest qualifications, but as I touch on the skill that we lack, emotional intelligence, but if you can't connect with people, lead teams, and understand different perspectives, your impact will be limited. So emotional intelligence is really a must. And being analytical, being a critical thinker, because we now live in an era where there's so many trends, digital trends, but let's be critical thinkers. And one other aspect really is the next generation of leaders must be both competent and compassionate. Because leadership is ultimately about people. So, Aka, that was a tough question because it really got me thinking. And one memorable thing I think I can want to leave with somebody is like, your knowledge may open the door, but your emotional intelligence determines how far you go with the people. Hope I answered your question, Aka.
You did. Wow. And one other thing I'll just add on is, do you really want that door? And I know I am talking about this a lot because I'm reflecting on some of the things that have happened in my life the past year. And I talk about this with my mentor. And I'm like, was that door really necessary? Like, because everybody says everything is necessary. You go through things for a certain reason. But some things are avoidable. And I like Trevor Noah for this because he says, hey, you don't have to experience everything. If somebody has experienced it for you, listen to them and deep. That's if you did your right research and you have the right information. So yeah, I think emotional intelligence is one thing that we should all work on. Yeah. Like, no,
Yeah.
question. You've really answered it, and I have nothing to chip in with.
And really, I love what you've really said, that certain things are really avoidable. And that's true. Sometimes we go through certain experiences because they prepare us for where we are going. But every challenge can teach us something. I think resilience, patience, or discipline, or a new perspective. But we also have, I think, the opportunity and responsibility to recognize that not everything is meant to happen for a reason. The moment we definitely really understand that, we understand that some challenges are part of life, and what matters is how we respond to them and learn, and how we continue moving forward.
True. Again, not everything is for you to experience. Let other people experience. Learn from
Experience
observation.
it for you, and you can learn from them so that you don't make the same mistake.
The same experience.
So
Yeah.
that's why it's also important about an aspect of researching. Invest in reading so you can learn from what others went through, the mistakes they made, the lessons, the opportunities they saw, so that you don't go into the same path. Because sometimes opportunities often to come to people who are prepared. But preparation is built through research, the experiences, the successes, and the setbacks and the lessons we encounter along the way. You don't have to encounter everything. Other people have encountered it for you, but do your research and understand and learn from them.
I love that. What do you think is the biggest gap between conversations happening in international development spaces and realities for young Zambians today?
Your question again, it's really a heavy question. It needs Aka, can you just repeat your question for me again?
So my question is, what do you think is the biggest gap between the conversations happening on international development spaces and the realities young Zambians are living with every day?
I think really for me I think one of the biggest gaps in development conversation is the gap between potential and opportunity. Across our communities, I think we have seen talented young people with ideas, the creativity, and the willingness to just want to contribute to the conversation. But as we said earlier, they lack access to the skills, networks, resources, and platforms that are needed for them to turn that impact into potential. Because the conversations that are had at that level, how do it translate to an everyday life of a young Zambian? Because most of the time it's like we often have good policies, strategies in this conversation. But the challenge is, after that conversation, translating those commitments into action that reaches communities, into action that reaches the people who are not part of that discussion. So we really need to expand on the implementation gap, the inclusion gap, and the skills opportunity gap. And as I said, collaboration. Development challenges are really interconnected for everyone, but sometimes sectors really work in isolation. So for me, really, the biggest gap is not the lack of ideas or talent. It is the systems and the pathways that allow those ideas and talent to become sustainable impact and reach the communities that impact is intended to serve. Hope I've nailed the question.
You have. I think it's very important for us to recognize the gap of the people that are making the decisions, right? Like the decisions, the policies, and how it's being implemented or how it's trickled down to the people it intends to have impact on or support. I think that's where the biggest issue is. It's not that the policies don't exist. They do exist. It's just the implementation and how long it actually takes for it to trickle down to the people it's meant to support.
And yeah, I love that, because I think when we talk of inclusion gap, too often is that the people most affected by development and by development challenges are not meaningfully always involved in designing the solutions. So development should be done with communities, not just for communities. If you are talking about a person left behind, bring them at their table because they understand their challenges and their lived experiences.
Sure. My question for you again is, what does the future look like to you, both to yourself and the young people in Zambia, whose voices you are amplifying?
What does the future look like? The future I envision is one where young people are not just preparing to inherit it, but are actively shaping it. It is a future driven by innovation, collaboration, sustainability, and inclusive leadership. The challenge we face now requires new thinking. The future now is going to belong to those who can combine creativity, technology, and problem solving to create solutions, because we live in a digital era now, and in the next 5 years Africa will house the youngest generation of young people in the world. So for that presents unparalleled potential. So I really hope to see a future where opportunity is not determined by someone's background, location, or circumstances, but by their willingness to learn, contribute, and create value. The future is not something we wait for. It is something we build through the decisions, the investments, and the actions we really take today. So the future should not only be the conversation about how being more advanced, it should be about being more inclusive and sustainable for humans. And for every young Zambian we need to step up. We need to level up. Being young alone is not an excuse. Being young is not an excuse. To create the future that we want to inherit, we really need to have the audacity to fight for the things that we want.
What advice would you give to a younger self?
What advice I would give my younger self? Ish. That's really an interesting question. Like it's now making me reflect to really say, what advice would I really give myself? Let me just think for a moment. What would I tell a young Muke? I'm still young though, but what would I tell 5-year-old Muke? I think I would tell my younger self to trust in the journey more. Don't be afraid to start before you completely feel ready, because growth happens through experience. Be curious, keep learning, and don't underestimate the power of small actions taken consistently. And one thing I would also tell myself is, do not compare your journey to other people's journey. Everyone has a different timeline, and the focus should be on becoming a better person than I was yesterday. And I would also want to remind my younger self that leadership is not something you wait for, or you wait for someone to give you. You start leading by taking responsibility, serving others, and creating value where other people don't see value. And I would tell my younger self that, young Muke, believe in your potential, be patient with your growth, and remember that every experience is preparing you for something bigger. Yeah.
I like that. What advice would you give to your fellow youths, peers, actually, your fellow peers?
The advice I would give to my fellow peers is have audacity. You have all what it takes to make it, but be intentional with learning, be intentional with your growth, and understand that growth is really gradual. One thing I always say is have audacity.
I like that. I've been having a lot of conversations with a lot of guests, and there's a lot about audacity that's been coming up, and I'm like, okay, I really need to tap into the audacity thing.
You need to, because
like have
audacity
courage,
for
have
me.
audacity. Okay, I get it.
Yeah, really. Because for me, really, audacity is the courage to believe that you can contribute even before the world recognizes your potential. It is about having the confidence to step forward, to take the risks, and pursue the meaningful ideas. Because most of the times, as young people, we are always looked down because you are young. Everyone thinks that you can't bring value to the table. So, audacity is the courage in you believing in yourself that before the world does. Because many breakthroughs happen because someone had the audacity to imagine that something different can happen to them and the courage to pursue it. So have audacity to believe that you belong in those rooms you want to be in, but also prepare yourself to add value when you get there. The world changes because someone had the courage to really ask, why not me? Why not now?
Yeah.
So have audacity.
I like that. Have audacity. I hope you all have audacity. Mukelabai, I would like to give you an opportunity to ask me a question or two.
A question for Aka. Really, how time has really flied so fast.
Sure.
I think really because I'm like, we have really clocked in now. So I think, what is one lesson about leadership that you wish you learned very early?
Ooh. I think I wrote this on my newsletter, and it was
Yeah.
like when to know when to lead, follow, or support.
Mm-hmm.
And I wish these conversations were had earlier, that you can't be a leader all the time. You can't be the main character all the time. Sometimes you be this in a supporting role, and sometimes you just be a follower, right?
Great. I
So
really love that.
you kind of I wish I knew that early. Like I came across that. Maybe I also wouldn't have had the wisdom to know the difference. But I think something someone has to learn early is, when is it for me to lead? When is it for me to support? When is it for me to follow? Because you're going to find yourselves in different situations or environments. I'll use the word environments because the word environment sounds better. You're going to find yourself in different environments, and sometimes in that environment you are a leader, sometimes in that environment you are supporting a leader, and sometimes in that environment you're just a follower, following instructions and doing your part for the greater good. I think that's like the greatest element of being a leader, is you can't be a leader all the time. You have to know the difference. You have to know the role you're playing. And I kind of got a hang of it by 2020. By January, February, I got a hang of it. Like, oh, this is not my role. I'm just supposed to do as I'm told. I'm just supposed to support. And know where I'm supposed to lead, and where I'm supposed to lead. But in the different elements, yeah. So for other young people, I think it's just, I know others would say, no, when we were growing up, the older generation perhaps say, when we were growing up, we could tell the difference. But I think there's nothing wrong with us having those conversations on
There's nothing
when
wrong.
is
Interesting.
when is someone supposed to lead. When just having the conversations brings awareness. I am big on awareness. Like if I hear something, I'm aware of it and I can recognize it. But if I'm not aware of anything, I can't recognize it because I am still operating in the same mind frame or the same mindset. So what awareness does is it gives you an ability to recognize something and a situation. So awareness also builds on your emotional intelligence. Like the more you're aware, the more you could actually know the difference, and that literally helps you with emotional intelligence. So I think for me, it's just thing I knew I knew earlier was, when am I supposed to lead, when am I in a supporting role, and when am I supposed to follow and chill. That's all.
Yeah.
It makes the world a better place.
It
Yeah.
makes the world a better place.
Also, even
One,
just for your mind. Yeah, just
just
even for
even for your
yourself as a
mind, yeah?
person. Yeah, like you're like you be chilling, when you're leading and leading, because then you know when to take responsibility, when to know you are partly responsible, and when to know that it's not your responsibility. There's somebody else
Yeah.
responsible for this, and you are just supporting them. Like, very
Yeah,
important.
interesting.
Very important.
Yeah, and one
Responsibility,
last one.
accountability. Okay, cool. Yeah, sure.
I've seen you're really passionate about this conversation,
Yeah.
and
No, I
Madam
wrote
Aka,
about it
yeah.
before we got to the next question. I wrote about it. I came across it 3 weeks ago, right? And I've been going through life transitions. I came across it, and I sat with it, and I wrote about it on my newsletter. I think a month or 3 weeks later, and it made sense. Like when you think about it, when I look at certain things that have happened in my life the past year, a lot of them would have gone better if I just know my role. If I just knew my role. That's all.
Know your lane. Know
That's
your
all.
lane.
If I knew I am thriving at my lane right now, thriving and very vocal about it. I know when to say, what to say, not to say. But I just think that whoever's listening to this have that awareness, like, as a person, know when it's your turn to lead, support, and follow. That's all.
And no, yeah, I love that. Know when to lead, support, and follow. Aka, we had really an interesting conversation. So if a young person listened to this conversation 5 years from now, what is one message you hope stays with them?
As much as you want the seat at that table, do you like the building the table is in? Like 5 years from later, when you look back, you really wanted that seat. Do you like the building? What does the building do to you? Has the building helped you to be a wholesome human being? Has the building helped you reach your full goals? Has it helped you realize you into a full human being? Has it nurtured you? Has it invested in you as much as you're investing in it? Does that building have impact on the young people too, your peers? Is that building, what's the social impact of that building? What's the climate impact of that building? Like, do you like being attached to the tagline of that building, or do you just like the paycheck? I love the building I love the table conversation. I just realized that I don't like certain tables in certain buildings. That's why I'm never at that table. I don't like the cost at which the table is coming at, and I don't like the whole building. So you kind of, also, just for context, I speak from a very privileged place. A place where, so that I speak from a very privileged place, and privileged in terms of I've experienced certain things already. Experienced them too young, and I said, hey, I ain't going back. So there's just certain things I'm just not doing. Like, even if I know they'll do so much for me, I just don't like the cost. So this is why it's important to experience certain things early. It's important to explore early, because then you get to have my perspective to just say that that building, I like the table though. Do I like the cost? And I am very quickly on knowing, the table looks good, the cost ain't worth it, I'm out. Right? But sometimes you find yourself that the cost is worth it in terms of what you are trying to build. So then you endure it, but then you put a time limit to say, I am going to be in that building for a year. I'm going to be in that building for 2 years, 3 years. But when that time step comes in, I'm out, because then I have achieved what I want. There's nothing wrong with that. So do you want the table, but are you willing to be in the building the table is in? Very important. And I think the other thing is, as we judge other tables, are you willing to build your own? Right? And if you're going to build your own, because again, my assumption is the tables are always in buildings. Tables are never in isolation. They come with systems, they come with culture, and they come at a cost. It's not that table of those pictures we used to see when we were in primary or secondary, a teacher teaching children under a tree. Even that, it was too kind of a building, right? So one notion about table, what people should understand, and I'm very passionate about this as well, is that it comes in a building, it comes with systems, it comes with cultures, and everything in between. So do you really want to be part of that, and is it worth it to be in that specific building? Right?
Interesting.
The other part is, my friends and I talk about this a lot, and I'd like to say I was very judgmental to I'm here building my own table and building, and I'm thinking, I understand why that person did that to me.
Yeah, don't be judgmental. Don't be too judgmental when you have not walked the journey
but
yet.
also it's very important for you to judge.
Yeah, it is.
God will still judge us. Like, if you're a young person, it's okay to be judgmental. It's okay for you to have doubt. It's okay. And I've done these things. I have done these things. I have no shame about it. I still think people screw me over, and I will be judgmental. But then when you when you pick the lifestyle I am picking of building a company and building things that will last generations, you get to understand why certain people were making certain decisions. They could have done it in a better way, but then you get to understand. So back to the building is, if you're going to be judgmental and not want to be in certain buildings, and you decide, you know what, I'm going to build my own table. Like I have decided, I'm like, you know what, I'll build my own table, and you all then would want to have a seat on my table. I'll always choose one seat at certain tables that will empower me to build my own table, but I'll still build that table. With all the experiences you've had as a young person, what would you like to do differently at your table and in your building? Yes, people
That's my question.
Yes. So I have two questions, right? Like, are you willing to get into that? You want that? So my first thing would be, are you willing, you want that table, but are you willing to take the cost it comes at? That's my first questions, right? But then eventually when you're done with that table and you say, you know what, I want my own table. Because then I also want people to understand that the table comes with a building, right? The building could be systems, couches, etc. So it means when you build your own table, it will come with system, couches, and everything in between. What are you going to do differently at your table? So whoever is going to be listening to this 5 years from now, that's my question. Like, what are you doing differently at your table? Because you didn't like the other table or not, or maybe it was just ready for you to transition to make your own table. But what are you doing differently at your table? Yeah.
Interesting. And I thought that question was getting
No,
thrown back to me.
no. That's for your future self.
Yeah.
When you listen to this episode, that's for your future
Yeah.
self. Yeah. Mukelabai, my last question to you is, this has been an amazing episode, by the way. I have talked so much. My last question to you is, what do you look forward to?
What do I look forward to? I look forward to the future. I look forward to seeing young people owning space. I look forward to seeing young people take up space, youth who are ethical, youth who are transformatives, and young leaders who have audacity.
I like that. I like that
And I
very
look forward to
much.
making more money.
Finally, you say something that I am building towards. Mukelabai, thank you so much for being an amazing guest. This was such a fun conversation. I enjoyed every part of it. It was so much fun. And yeah, like it was really fun. And I hope whoever listens to it enjoys it.
No, thank you so much, Aka, for having me. Really, it has been a pleasure to be able to contribute to this conversation. Like, it was really interesting, and it's good to see young people creating an opportunity for other people to really come through. And I think I would love to really just say short closing statement.
Okay.
What I want to leave the listeners with is, your circumstance may shape your starting point, but that does not have to define your destination. Keep learning, keep building, and keep showing up, because your contribution matters. I have been Mukelabai Jr., a catalyst for bold action. Thank you.
And if you're a young person, if you loved this episode, share it with another young person. Give us feedback. Follow Mukelabai's amazing journey, and let us know in the comments when you listen to this episode what you think. From me, it's bye for now.